Okay, welcome to this week's newsletter, and the topic this week is going to be about accountants. Okay, we've received a series of questions this week about accountants, and we've replied back to those people, and we're just going to give you a summary of what those replies were, and that might help you a little bit. Okay, hi Iscah, I need to know the update regarding today's invitation round for accountants and how many seats are left for accountants for this program year. Okay, so immigration are a little bit slack at the moment in how they are publishing their results. So the last results we've got are February 2016, and at that stage they were inviting accountants at 65 points who had waited 6 months to get an invite. So all the people at 70 points or more got an invite, but those at 65 you had to have waited 6 months. There's still 920 places available at this stage. Given we haven't heard March results yet, there's 8 rounds to go, so around 115 places per round if they use it pro rata for the rest of this year. Okay, next question. Is it likely the quota for accountants will finish by May? Okay, similar sort of question. Look, 920 places. Immigration could allocate 460 places for each of the next 2 rounds, and that'll get rid of all the places. I doubt they'll do that. I think they'll stagger it as much as they can. They've already got behind a little bit from early this year. They've finally caught up. My guess would be they'll go through till June, and after then the obvious question is, will it stay on the skilled list? Okay, is it true accountant will come off the list for the next financial year? My 485 visa is expiring in July. Okay, yeah, look, good question. The issue really is that there's a lot of pressure on the accountant places. At the moment, there's probably 6,000 to 8,000 accountants looking for around 2,500 to 3,000 places. Now, the skilled list is a list of occupations immigration think are needed for the next 10 years. And if they think that occupation is not going to be needed in big numbers, then they will take an occupation off the list. So there's a list of 40 occupations at the moment that are on what's called the immigration flagged list. That's like a warning list, and accountant is on there. There's also engineers, a lot of tradespeople, and all those occupations are in danger of coming off for the next financial year. Generally they ask for 4 or 5, or they take 4 or 5 places off each financial year, so accountant could come off. It's a headache for the department accountant. There's too many people applying for too few places, so they have to stagger them, and that creates a lot of angst for everybody. So my guess is it's as high as a 50% chance that it will come off. If it does come off the list, the effect then is that you can't apply for a 189 or be invited for a 189 after the 1st of July. You can't apply for a 489 relative sponsored visa, and you can't apply for one of the old 485 visas. That is for students who got their first student visa before the 1st of July, before November 2011. If you got your first student visa after November 2011, you can still apply for a 485 if you're eligible as an accountant, even if it comes off the skilled list, but you won't be able to apply for a 189 anymore. So critical decision the department have to make. I'm sure they're getting a lot of advice from a lot of different people. Okay. Next question. Can I count work doing the accounts for my employer for extra points? Now, the issue for immigration is a lot of times people say they're working as an accountant, but in fact they're only working as a bookkeeper. And if the work is as a bookkeeper or an accounts clerk, immigration can't count those points. So a bookkeeper keeps financial records, maintains balances accounts, monitors cash flows, prepares financial statements, prepares invoices, verifies transactions, fills out forms, etc. So it's heavily admin related, and generally the salary for that occupation is probably $38,000 to $45,000 a year. An accountant is slightly more complex in what they do. Again, there's a bit of a crossover. They assist in formulating budgets, prepare financial statements, but they present to management, conduct financial investigations, undertake audits, examine operating costs, prepare tax returns, give advice. That's an accountant. Generally they're on $50,000 or more, and immigration will look at the duties of those two, compare those two occupations with what you're saying you're doing. And if you're working as an accountant, you can claim points. If you're not, you can't claim the points. Also, they'll only count work that took place after you got your qualification, so it must be postgraduate work, and it must be at least 20 hours a week. All right. Now you can make things a bit safer by getting points test advice from an accounting body before you lodge your visa application, and if they say it's working as an accountant, and they'll make the same judgment I've just explained now, is it an accountant or is it a bookkeeper? If they say it's okay, generally immigration will accept that. If you want to take the risk, you can lodge it with immigration without that points test advice, but you need to justify the work is as an accountant. Okay, next question. My brother lives in Perth, can he sponsor me for a skilled visa? Okay, so the only visa that you can apply for as a skilled person with a relative sponsoring is a 489 visa. Now, all the places for accountants are being used up by the 189 applicants at the moment. There are none overflowing to the 489s. In my opinion, there will be zero chance that any 489s will get a visa this financial year as an accountant, just because so many people are demanding those places through the 189s. That doesn't stop states sponsoring under 489s, it doesn't stop states sponsoring under 190s. They are different allocations of places, but certainly a brother or relative can't help you as an accountant at the moment. Which states are sponsoring accountants? Okay, let's have a quick look. Okay, so Northern Territory, but you need to have studied at CDU for that if you're an Australian graduate. ACT, but they're closed now. Tasmania have only got limited places and require 5 years work experience. WA requires a job offer and at least 1 year work experience in Australia or 3 years overseas. So in essence, only New South Wales are sponsoring. For New South Wales to sponsor, you need to have significant work experience and or very good English marks. So it's really difficult to get state sponsorship at the moment. You really need to try and get to 70 points yourself through the 189 to get an invite. We'll have to see what the criteria is after the 1st of July, see if some states make it a little bit easier. But right now they're the states that are sponsoring. Okay, I'd like to ask what is the best option for students currently taking a Masters of Professional Accounting to get a permanent visa? Okay, so the first thing is if you got your first student visa after November 2011 or applied for it after November 2011, you can apply for a 485 graduate visa if your studies was 2 years and your English marks are good. So at least it gives you more time. That opens up the chance of seeing what the new points test would look like in November this year. I'm guessing November, they said July, but it looks like it's going to get delayed a little bit. And that might bring up other options, a new points test. Under the current points test, you need to get to 70 points. 65s, you might get an invite if you've been waiting 5 or 6 months. But generally 70 points or higher, so you really need to get good English marks, or company sponsorship. Company sponsorship works really well if you live in a regional area. You don't need work experience, you need a full-time job offer as an accountant. If you don't live in a regional area, so you're living in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Gold Coast for example, then you can't use the RSMS program. You need to, if you get a company sponsoring you, you need to apply for a 457 visa unless you've already got 3 years work experience. Okay, so that's the accountant questions for this week. Hope that's helped you. All that information is up to date as of today. If you're watching this video in a couple of months' time, we can't guarantee it's up to date. You might want to drop us an email to just check things out. Other information is available on our website, www.iscah.com. Or if you want to have a consultation, phone up our office and you're welcome to come in and have a chat. We can review your whole situation, or have a Skype interview, or drop us an email and ask us any question you like. Okay, have a great week. Thanks.